It's very appropriate that I'm using this lighter with the American flag on it, because this is about secularism and atheism. And I've made a video about this before, but I feel it needs to be said again because of Billzybobb's obnoxious video to Theo Warner. And I've been talking to Cardinal Virtues for the last 2 days. Just talked to him this morning via Skype. And Billzybobb does not read. He hasn't read the Bible, the Quran. He doesn't know what Shakespeare is. He's shown this, and he thinks reading is stupid or boring because he buys Christopher Hitchens books but never read them. Because if he knew what Christopher Hitchens or any prominent atheist had to say, he wouldn't be saying the crap that he did. And he says it's our country. He calls America our country, meaning atheist country. He knows nothing about history. Okay, let me explain to you how secularism came about. The colonies that had broken away from England had saw what had happened in Europe. Catholic against Protestant and Protestant against Protestant. Bloody warfare. One day you're a Catholic and you're persecuting the heretics who want the Bible read or who object to certain things about the church, and then the next day you're with those and you're killing Catholics. Storming into a town to people who've never heard about Protestantism, who are just good people, and slaughtering them. Like the Peasants' Revolt under Martin Luther. Under Martin Luther, it was sparked by his writings. And he actually objected to that. Now, people had come to the United States of America because the King of England had kicked the Catholic Church out so he could get a divorce. And the Geneva Bibles wound up being burned because under King James it was the authorized version. That's what the King James was. It was the authorized version. No other translation of the Bible were to be allowed. That's why overseer was translated as bishop. Assembly was always church. That's why sometimes you'll hear about the Israelite church standing in front of God. Now there's been many revisions, you know, since the 1611 version, but or maybe that was the final one. I think, well, it has the translator's note that you can see for yourself if you get a 1611 Bible. It was Christians, Masons, deists. None of these people were atheists. People may bring up the Jefferson Bible. Well, Jefferson is kind of like me. I'm cutting up things and making the documentary hypothesis different Bibles. E, J, P, and D text different ones. This was published after his death, but during his life he signed everything in the year of our Lord Christ, and then the date. Secularism is a Christian, it came out of Christianity. We can call it a Christian idea of our modern secularism. No atheist country was ever secularist. Now, I'm not saying that this applies to every single atheist, that all atheists want totalitarian regimes, but let's look at the pre-communist atheist countries. The French Revolution. No freedom of speech, no freedom of religion, mass killings of their own population, kangaroo courts, and it was atheists. I guess a better word would be anti-theist, but they didn't have that around. I think it was Christopher Hitchens that either coined it or popularized the term anti-theist. So no atheist state was ever secularist. It's irritating because I got frustrated when I heard Christians saying, well, they're secularists. I said, I'm a secularist. Well, you can't be a Christian. It's weird fundamentalist Christianity. And then Now there's atheists who've picked up on the Christian fundamentalists, and I said I don't like fundamentalists, either Christian or atheist. Most fundamentalist atheists I come across there, or most of the people who are rabid atheists, I should say, seem exactly like the proselytizing, our view is better than anybody else's view, and you guys are just stupid unless you have our view. They're proselytizing fundamentalist Christians that have gone one God less. They didn't rethink their stance. They didn't have any other different worldview. It's just proselytizing fundamentalist Christianity gone one God less. They know nothing about the history of Christianity, nor do they care. They only care about labels. America is about 75% Christian, and then somewhere between 2 and 12% atheist. I've heard 10%, 8%, but I'll just give a good margin of error between 2 and 12%, because I've even heard 5%. Billzybobb calls all Christians a threat to national security, says that they're stupid, superstitious, believe in witchcraft. I don't believe in witchcraft, or I'm not superstitious. I don't see huge conspiracies like he does, and trying to claim that Christians will kill their children if God asks them to. No, this has never happened. Or that we want some form of Sharia law. Well, there's no law in the New Testament. The New Testament was formed under Roman occupation, and it existed that way for about 300 years. So there's Christian law, there's no such thing. Christians never ever practiced Mosaic law. They didn't say, oh, you're wearing something that's made out of both cotton and leather, you can't wear that because that's against Levitical law. Or you can't walk so many feet on Saturday. Heck, our fast days are not Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're Wednesdays and Fridays. And our day of celebration isn't Saturday, it's Sunday. I mean, these are basic things that people don't get. But let's look at all the atheist countries. North Korea, no, not secularist. Cuba, not secularist. It's starting to allow some Catholicism in there the last 20 years. It started to recognize some Catholicism, but you still can't be a party member and be a Catholic. The Soviet Union, that had just fallen about 20 years ago. Not secularist, but very atheist. All the atheist countries were never secularist. See, when you're a secularist, you don't care what the other people believe. So, I think Thomas Jefferson said, might have been Voltaire, as long as my neighbor neither breaks my leg or picks my pocket, I don't care whether he has 14 gods. Now that's a paraphrase. So I'm sick of this people who think, well, I'm an atheist, therefore I'm a secularist. No, not so. Or Christians saying, well, they're atheists, so they must be secularists. No. The vast majority of Christians are secularists. Now, we in the Eastern Orthodox Church have had to deal with emperors. In fact, the issue over icons were banned by the emperors and took the people and the queens, the empresses, to defend icons. Many times the emperors were monophysites, were all different sorts of heresies. When you combined religion and state, both become corrupt. And the founders of America knew this. Now, there were certain colonies, I believe Massachusetts was one of them, that had, and I think Connecticut too, that had religious charters. I think even the Mayflower Compact was religious. I don't believe the Virginia Company was, though. And the Founding Fathers realized this was a bad thing, that we needed to have a separation between church and state, because the church would become corrupted and so would the state. And plus, in the New World there was Methodists, Anglicans, Congregationalists, Baptists, Catholics were a cringing minority until the waves of immigrants from Poland, Ireland, Italy, Portugal came in. Most Christians are secularists. In fact, I don't personally know any Christian who isn't a secularist, and I know a lot of Christians. All of them are secularists. And I've heard of people saying, oh, well, we want to take back Constantinople and we should have the emperor again. Well, the emperors always screwed things up. They always tried to go against orthodoxy and just run roughshod. I mean, what happens when we get another Julian the Apostate or something like that? So, this idea that atheism equals secularism is beyond stupid, or a secularist is an atheist. That's stupid. As I mentioned before, Masons, deists, and Christians were the founding fathers. None of them were atheists. You say, oh, well, deist is a type of atheist. No. They certainly weren't hostile towards religion. You can find bits and quotes saying, oh, lighthouses are more useful than churches and things like this. They were criticizing the political form of religion, but they weren't abusive to anybody who had the label Christian. In fact, they took the label Christian because that's what they saw it as more of an identity. I will answer all your questions. I'll try to get to them within the next few days. Peace to you. May God save Serbia and Syria. Hope this helps people, but atheism does not equal secularism. Secularism does not equal atheism. There is not a single atheist government that is secular. Secularism means you have the freedom to be religious, you have the freedom to believe in God, you have the freedom not to believe in God. That's not atheism, that's secularism. And I am pro-secularist because, I mean, not even because Eastern Orthodoxy is a cringing minority in the United States, but the fact that if you unite Orthodoxy with the government, Orthodoxy will become corrupt, and the Orthodox Church is something very precious to me. I don't want it to become political. That'd be a very sad day. And if you think I'm saying anything heretical, just go ask an archbishop. Archbishop Lazar. Just one word is the title of his channel, All Saints Monastery, and he rails against people who think secularism is a bad idea. Yeah, just to clue you in on something, I don't believe in heaven or hell, common Orthodox view. I don't believe in creationism, common Orthodox view, and I'm absolutely against proselytizing, which is an absolute Orthodox view. You cannot proselytize if you're Eastern Orthodox, so. Yeah, Billzybobb trying to attack me had a lot of learning to do. He didn't know what he was saying, and he looks like an idiot. Now, there's actually atheists out there that are doing a good thing for atheism. They're trying to clean out the whack jobs, the psychopaths, and the Nazis from those people who are calling themselves atheists or secularists. Billzybobb is not an atheist. And he's definitely not a secularist. He may be an atheist, but he's definitely not a secularist. Secularism good. Atheism, if you're an atheist, be an atheist. That's fine. I have nothing to say to you. Again, proselytizing is against my religion. I wouldn't be able to take communion if I were proselytizing people. Take it easy. Peace to you. May God save Serbia and Syria. And please pray for the Christians in Egypt. Thank you. Take it easy. Billzybobb's obnoxious video to Theo Warner. And I have been talking to Cardinal Virtues for the last 2 days. Just talked to him this morning via Skype. And what had happened in Europe. Catholic against Protestant and Protestant against Protestant. Bloody warfare. One day you're a Catholic and you're persecuting the heretics who want the Bible read or who object to certain things about the church, and then the next day you're with those and you're killing Catholics. And he says it's our country. He calls America our country, meaning atheist country. He knows nothing about history. Okay, let me explain to you how secularism came about. The colonies that had broken away from England had saw Billzybobb does not read. He hasn't read the Bible, the Quran. He doesn't know what Shakespeare is. He's shown this, and he thinks reading is stupid or boring because he buys Christopher Hitchens books but never read them. Because if he knew what Christopher Hitchens or any prominent atheist had to say, he wouldn't be saying the crap that he did. It's very appropriate that I'm using this lighter with the American flag on it, because this is about secularism and atheism. And I've made a video about this before, but I feel it needs to be said again because of